If you are an estate agent, be you furloughed or you're back at work, be you a boss, be you a neg or a valuer, be you even a letting agent, Nigel Risner over the next 30 minutes is going to tell you how to keep your mind up during these challenging times using these important 6 steps. Welcome, Nigel. Thank you for joining me today. Just before we kick off, tell people what qualifies you to tell us these 6 steps and why they work.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me, and it's a real pleasure. I've seen lots of your other podcasts and internet guru meetings with people on your couches. I thought, I've never been invited onto your couch. And I thought, why not? So the first reason that I think I'm qualified is I've not been on your couch. Now I want to be in your shed. Thirdly, having run a successful finance company, my background, you may or may not know, is I was involved in commercial finance, and my partner was the largest nursing home and residential estate agent. So I'm going back into the early 80s and to the early 90s, where I financed more nursing homes and residential homes than actually anybody else in the UK. So my background was working with estate agents, financing difficult properties. 20 years later, I'm now working with estate agents, letting agents, businesses all over the world, literally all over the world, in helping them and their team stay up, keep up, motivate, inspire, innovate, using 6 very cool steps. And you're going to be the first one to hear the magic 6 steps.
Excellent.
And so you kind of gave me a bit of grief because you said, I don't want any other crap that you've given to everyone else. Quote, unquote, were your words. I said, no, it's going to be brand new material. So the two of us are going to battle a little bit because I have 6 steps, which are different to most people's steps. And they are going to be different. And it will, I promise you, keep you and your team up at all times. So the first one is vision. Now, everyone will have heard of vision, but I have a different concept of vision. So in the Bible, it says, where there's no vision, people perish. And where there is a vision, people flourish. So this isn't new material. Just thought I'd share that bit with you. It's in the Bible. It's a little bit older than you and me. Well, not older than you, but older than me especially. And vision is something very interesting because lots of estate agents have a wall where they do goal setting. And it's brilliant. You know, we want to do 5 lets. We want to have 4 appointments. We want to sign on 4 new instructions. The problem is at the end of every Friday, when you've achieved that, 2 words always come up. What's next? So you can't even enjoy a branch opening because as you open a branch, someone goes, well, you should open another one. And then we do our first £100,000 property. We should do a 500,000. And I was involved when I did my first £1 million commercial loan. And the second I did it, someone said to me, well, do you think we'll do a £2 million loan? Well, we're talking about in the early 80s. I didn't even have 5 minutes to enjoy it. So a vision has to be something that's huge, that you can never get there in a way, but there's a plan to get there, but you could achieve it in your lifetime.
It's almost like enjoying the journey, not the destination.
Yeah, but it's bigger than that. It's that, so for example, you might have a vision that your podcast and your phenomenal shares on YouTube and Facebook reach 10 million, okay? Now, I don't know what your numbers are, but that seems like a big number. Would you agree? And you and I aren't a super celebrity. So if we were a A-lister, okay, and you did a tweet, it gets followed by 150 million people, their goal then is to do 1 billion. For you and I, 1 million's a big number. So when I wrote one of my first books, my vision was to have it read by 1 million people and have a book translated into 10 different languages and be over 20 countries. Now, I didn't know how I was going to achieve it, but I knew it was possible. So you have to decide on the how and the what, decide on the what and the how will show up. So what do you want to achieve? And then the how will appear. But if you don't have a big enough what, there's no chance it's going to come about. So my vision is really important for my business. So I want to inspire and empower people, and I want to write books that people read, but I don't know how I'm going to get it out to the world. Now, I was very lucky a couple of years ago, my book got translated into Chinese. Well, that's a quick way of upping your numbers. Now, I made a mistake because I didn't put profit towards it. So in China, my book sells for about £1.20. So you got to sell a lot of books. Bear in mind, I don't get all the £1.20 that publishers and my agent and everyone else. So I'm getting about 8p a copy in China. I get about £3.20 in the UK, but I've got to sell thousands that way. So I didn't write my vision correctly, but my vision now is to be an inspiration and a thought and a choice where people think about motivation, inspiration, they go, Nigel Risner's the man. That's my vision for the next 10, 20 years. That people, the minute they want to motivate their team, they go, Nigel's the guy. Chris is the guy to do a podcast. Chris is the person to be on his couch. That type of thing. That sounded a little bit sexual there, but you know what I mean. It's the idea that you want to be interviewed by Chris because you're the man when it comes to residential estate agents, letting, etc. An interview with you is only second to God or James Corden. You know, it's that type of thing. So your vision has to be much bigger than a goal, but it is possible in your lifetime. You just don't know how you're going to achieve it. Some people call it a BHAG, which is a big, hairy, audacious goal. But goal setting on its own doesn't work because too often, you know, I'm sure you had 100 listeners to one of your podcasts. You went, that's brilliant. Then you got to your magic 1,000. Then you went, that's good. And then the game is, well, we better do 10,000. And it's never enough. And so that's why your vision is really key. So if every estate agent had a vision statement, and that's different to mission statements, but a vision statement that said, how big do we really want to be that is possible in our lifetime? So I've written another 2 books since I wrote the Impact Code. And when we did the animal books, I wanted every leader and manager in the UK to have it to all their new employees as they came into work. Now we're getting closer and closer because I've now got the National Health Service on my side and I've got the post office on my side. So I'm getting closer, but I've still got another 50 million people to go. But it is possible in my lifetime, because I'm so much younger than you, I've got another 50 years to go on this. So you have to have a compelling vision that you wake up every day to and think, yeah, I can see this happening. Then you have to think about the word integrity. Now, integrity is a very big thing for me because we agreed to do this a couple of weeks ago. And I rang you up and said, look, I've got a problem with my internet. And I nearly had an issue today because I had committed with my daughter and wife to do a chicken soup run for the elderly infirm. And I promised you I'd be here for 1 o'clock. Now, I was a minute late, so I apologize because I wasn't in total integrity. But I was going to be here. And I did go drive back down from Stanmore at about 90 miles an hour, praying the police weren't going to be here, because I wouldn't have been in integrity if I wasn't doing our program. Now, I know you'd probably be saying, yeah, but it doesn't matter, we can do it another time. But in my mind, I'd already let you down once when my internet collapsed last week. But integrity to me is knowing that wherever I am and people are watching me a lot like you, I don't have to worry about my character. And character is so important for how you are viewed, because your character is how you're seen and reputation is about what people talk about you. So integrity to me is the one thing. Now, my background is finance broking. Finance brokers are one step below estate agents, you know, and then I was involved in second mortgages. That's even another step below. So before I even started my job, in a way, people questioned my integrity because it was finance. Then they questioned my integrity, it was commercial finance. Then I was involved with estate agents. I mean, just as a belief system, didn't matter what I did, I said, yeah, I work with estate agents. Oh, dodgy. Yeah, then it was commercial finance, dodgy. And I had to prove myself that if Nigel Risner said something, then it was true. Unfortunately, 20 years on, if I say I'm going to be here at 1 o'clock, normally people are ringing up the police and hospitals if I've not turned up, because I always turn up. So integrity for estate agents and letting agents is so key that if you shaft a client once, it's going to be remembered forever. And now with things like, I'm saying TripAdvisor, I don't mean that, but with the internet the way it is, and there must be the equivalent of, have you heard of Glassdoor?
Yes, the bit where firms, employees put stuff on, yeah.
Yeah, so you have the equivalent of Glassdoor, TripAdvisor, the restaurant club. There will be the equivalent of the estate agents club somewhere. I just don't know what it is. If you're not in integrity with me, within 8 seconds, I can ruin your business. And you know that when someone complains, it's 100 times worse than a compliment. So if you sell my house at 1.5%, what you've done is you've sold my house at 1.5%. That's what you said you were going to do. It's not special. You shouldn't be getting a thank you note for that. That's the contract that I had. But if you don't deliver and you bullshit on the price just to get the instruction, and then you wonder why 18 weeks later we've reduced the price by 70,000 because that's the only way. And someone says, well, if you'd have told me that at the beginning, and then you've ramped up the sole selling rights and all that stuff, you're out of integrity. And it's really key that you think about this, that every person you meet has the power to destroy you because of the internet. Now, we don't often talk about it that way because we say the internet's an amazing. There's Rightmove and there's Zoopla and there's all this stuff. But within 1 second, you could get shafted by delivering bad. And I don't know how many followers you've got on YouTube and all the rest, but quite a bit. You put a derogatory comment out to somebody, it could spread by the weekend. Is that fair?
That's fair. Very fair.
And if somebody does a great job, you might ignore it because they've just done what they said they were going to do. I love when I go to a restaurant and someone says to me, was everything okay? And my reply is, I can get okay at home for nothing. I want it to be exceptional. Was everything okay? That's not good enough anymore. So you need to have a compelling vision and you need to think about your integrity. So we've done the first two letters of V and I. Then the third one is action. Now, if you know much about Latin, the word satisfaction comes from the Latin word satis, which is enough, and then action. So if you take enough action, you get satisfaction. Most people do not take enough action. So they're excited with the new instruction. They're excited with the new viewing. They're excited with the new appointment. And then they're looking for the next shiny thing.
It's like estate agents are turned on by the listing and not actually selling the property. Isn't it interesting that 6 out of 10 properties sell with the second agent?
Well, and that's because they're excited and they do something with it. You know and I know that testimonials don't pay for our mortgage. Listings don't pay your mortgage. What pays our mortgage is a sold sign, not a for sale sign. So it's about what action are you taking moment by moment in alignment with your vision statement to get you closer to where you want to get to. So if an estate agent's job was to sell 20 houses this quarter, that means you've got to see 80 properties. You've got to be on the phone to 160 purchasers. And it's not that complicated. But what happens is come Thursday afternoon, and I don't know if you were in the garden yesterday, but the weather was pretty good yesterday. And as you can see from my colour, I've been in the garden quite a bit, but my targets have changed. But if my target had been 50 properties, I would have been on the phone ramming, chunking the numbers, dialing people up, questioning people. And when you've had a property on for longer than 2 weeks, you lose the excitement. So then another new property comes in. So all your attention gets diverted to there. So the action on that first listing gets lost. And then all of a sudden another estate agent picks it up and kind of goes, it's new to us. They put all the energy in. So the question...
You think it's the thrill of the chase?
It's always because I want to get a new property on my books in front of the other people.
Because what I find fascinating with, especially with estate agencies, is that that when they lose a listing, they feel their world has ended, and it's the end of the world. Whilst when they gain a listing, the same amount of emotion, obviously it's a different direction, is not the same. It's like, it's kind of, yeah, I've done all right there. Yeah, great. But when you lose it, it's end of the world and you want to go and kill yourself.
The problem is, if you got every single listing and you sold every single property, you couldn't cope. So you can't expect to get every listing and you can't expect to sell every property. If every single person that asked you for an interview, you said yes to, you wouldn't have the time. There's only so much time. If every single gig that I get asked to do, I said yes to, my fees are too low. I want to be saying no to people. I also want to be saying no to people that aren't in integrity with me. So, to be in integrity with me, I need chocolate. Just thought I'd share that with you. You know, if I need a proper bar of chocolate. You know, that's proper bar. You know.
Yeah, you've got some of your other shoulder as well.
Yeah. Oh no, I've got lots of chocolate, but I don't. But what I'm saying is, but that's what turns me on. Okay, I'm excited by that. So the question is for you, what excites you, and then what action are you taking to get closer to your excitement? So you have a vision, you've got integrity, and then you've got to take action. So we're halfway through a new way of keeping you and your team up. But now comes the interesting part, because it's about goals. Now, have you ever done goal setting?
Well, you could say it's targets. We've all got targets, haven't we?
Okay. So have you heard of the SMART method for goal setting?
Yes, I have.
Doesn't work. Just thought I'd share that. Doesn't work. Because if it worked, you and I wouldn't be doing this. So I'm going to give you a very quick new goal setting method using SMART, but a different model. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
So it's got to be specific. That's the only bit I agree with. What do you actually want to achieve? So if you say you wanted a car and I buy you a 1973 Ford Escort with 2 wheels, steering wheel's a bit dodgy, I'll have accomplished what you've asked for because you said you wanted a car. Then you say to me, look, Nigel, that's not really what I meant. Well, that's because you weren't specific. So you need to be really specific, okay? The M must stand for motivational. If you're not motivated by the goal, good chance you're not going to follow through. So, Chris, tell me something you're really motivated by. Putting you under the pressure now, you see, turning the table.
Well, everybody likes the esteem of others, don't they?
Okay, so you want to be told you're the best interviewer in the world. That's what's sexy for you, isn't it? You want to be told you're the Larry King of the real estate world.
The Parkview Estate Agency.
Yeah, there you go.
Some people
that motivation of self-esteem and recognition is what does it for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the A must be attainable. So you must be able to see it in your mind's eye that I can achieve the goal that I set out to do. So one of the things that I did when I was writing books was I had the covers, and I've got a cover just behind me. The covers got printed first. So the covers of my book were designed way before I'd finished writing the book. So I could see the book being on the shelf. Then I had printed on it #1 bestseller, because that was what I wanted to see. I didn't want to print a book. Most people who write books, by the way, have got thousands in their garage. Okay. My garage needs no more self-esteem. It's fine on its own. What I want is my book being sold into people. Does that make sense? And people have got books in the back of their cars. My car needs no more self-esteem. I want it out there. So I wanted #1 bestseller on Amazon, which we've been a number of times in categories I've never even heard of. But I'm #1. We want it translated into other languages. So I'm in Arabic, Chinese, some other countries I've never even heard of, but at least 11. And the best is it's been translated into Canadian, which I thought was the same as American, which is the same as English, but there's a couple of A's extra missing because they're a bit weird in Canada. But if you've got any Canadian listeners, apologies. So it's got to be specific, motivational, attainable. The R's got to be relevant. A lot of people's goals, especially in the estate agency world, are not relevant for the market they're in right now. So, what's relevant today? It might be getting more listings, or it might be getting more properties for letting. It might be properties for social workers, or it might be key workers is what I meant.
Yeah.
So it's got to be relevant. And then the T is trackable by you and at least 3 other people. Most people don't share their goals properly. They have a goal, but don't want to share it. Do you know the biggest reason, Christopher, I can call you Christopher now, why they don't share their goal?
Because all of a sudden that makes you accountable, doesn't it?
Yeah, there you go. And then there's a chance that if you know what it is, then and I fail, I've let you down as well. You want to make it to you're accountable by at least 3 people.
Is that? I was talking to some friends. He runs an accountability, like a mastermind, and he actually says the biggest thing that actually gets people done is the fact you can't. It's very difficult to become accountable to yourself, and it's very difficult to be accountable to your nearest and dearest. But if you're accountable to someone that you look up to.
I'll give you an example, Chris. Imagine every week for the next 10 weeks, you and I had to get on the scales publicly on Facebook.
Well, you're not going to put that cake in you. Now, this is No,
No, but use that as an example. Imagine you and I played a game. I reckon I'm a couple of pounds overweight. You might be. I can't see the camera properly.
trust
But
me.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
So imagine I said to you, if your real goal was to lose 2 stone, every Monday morning live on Facebook, it doesn't matter what you weigh. I swear to God. But I presume you'd like to lose a few pounds. Is that fair?
Well, interestingly, I've lost 3 stone in the last year.
Okay. Well, apologies. Okay, but
I still plenty to lose. But it was because I employed the services of a coach.
okay, I'm gonna make it easy for you. Okay, every Monday morning, you're gonna publicly get weighed and
Yeah, well,
show.
yeah, well, I'm not going to look a prat, am I?
Well, no, that's the point. That's accountability in front of 10, 1,000, 20,000 people. That's real accountability at the highest level. But I want to add 2 letters to my SMART model. You ready for this?
Go
I
on,
want you to have smarter model, a smarter goal. It's got to be enjoyable. Okay. The reason why most diets don't work is because they're not enjoyable. And the R has to be rewarding. Now, you don't want to reward yourself with a big cake, by the way. Okay, I just thought I'd share that.
Or big bars of chocolates, Nigel.
Who would know about that? What you want to do is reward yourself. So I buy myself watches. Okay, so for every stone I lose, I buy another watch.
You like your rollies, do you?
Now, as it happens, this one's at a bell. You might be able to see.
Yeah,
Okay?
nice.
A very nice watch. But I also have some. I have to have a watch that I can see the time on stage. So I had the most stunning Cartier watch. Okay, stunning. But I couldn't see the time, so I had to sell that. Okay, I made a mistake. It was beautiful as long as I knew what the time was. So if you want to set creative goals, it's got to be smarter, not using the old SMART method. So specific, motivational, attainable, relevant, trackable, enjoyable, and rewarding. And do that, and you're getting closer to your steps to keeping you and your team up at all times. So we've got vision, we've got integrity, we've got action, we've got goals. And the R is responsibility. Now, you might be getting closer to working out what the word is yet, but don't say it, okay? But yet you might be getting closer. Responsibility and 100%. You've just got it. It took you a bit of time there, didn't it?
I won't give it away.
No, don't give it away. But it's just so funny to watch your face. You've just got it, okay? Responsibility is the key thing for people. From today, and I want you to visualize this as well, if you took 100% responsibility of your life, what would it look like?
Well, it's very interesting. I follow a chap called Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's who's an American marketing guru, and he basically says if you say everything is your fault, it releases you. And this is really interesting. Is let's be honest, we're all in our marriages, and the missus will say something, and before you would actually, so you think, well, that's her fault. But actually, if you just actually say, yeah, I cocked up there, I tell you now, mate, it does actually make you a lot happier if you just take responsibility for everything.
But it's 100% responsibility. So the reason you and I have issues in our life, so I've been married 35 years, happily 4, but I've been married 35 years. My life works when I take responsibility. The minute I say they made me, they didn't make me do anything. I chose to do it. No one can physically harm you without physically. I mean, if I physically hit you, that would hurt. But bear in mind, we're a couple of miles apart. We're on a different channel. Whatever I say can't hurt you unless you take personal responsibility with it. So the minute you claim responsibility and you understand ownership, and you understand that the reason you're late is because you chose to be late. So for £1 million, would I have been on time for today's podcast at 1 o'clock? Yeah, because I would have left at 8 o'clock to do the chicken soup run. I'd have walked the dog at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I guarantee I'd have been ready at 12:30. But I didn't put that responsibility on. So then I blame my wife and my daughter. My daughter was working as the casting producer for Come Dine With Me. So she lost her job, and then she got a job yesterday for 6 days. So she wasn't doing the whole of the run with my wife. So I became the designated driver. But for £1 million, I'd have left at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's how you take responsibility. No one's ever been late on the M25, by the way, if you left early enough.
That's a
But he's
big one.
blaming the.
That so far, that's a huge one, isn't it? Along with integrity, the book,
And let me tell you, Chris, the stuff I'm sharing is what's going to keep you and your team up. Or you go to what I call the BMW Club. Do you know? Are you a member of the BMW Club?
I'm not.
That's the bitching, moaning, and whining people. You know, they're always moaning about something that it's not fair, but it is amazing for £1 million how you make it fair.
Because it's interesting at the moment that a lot of people are moaning about Rightmove and the fact that they keep putting up their fees by 15-20% a year and it's not fair that they've got a 73% profit margin, and it's not fair that they're not nice to the industry. But if you actually took personal responsibility and actually learnt, you could actually leave them and still sell houses and still not lose listings to other agents if you took the time and effort to actually learn how to not be addicted to portals.
Yeah. But you see, we want to be on portals because everyone else is on a portal, and we don't want to miss out because everyone else is on a portal.
The biggest thing is fear that they'll be used against you that when you're out on a listing, evaluation.
But you see, here's the point. Take responsibility, be phenomenal at your job, be really personable, be full of integrity, and you'll shock the whole industry. So responsibility to me is the number one thing that makes my life work. When I take 100% responsibility. And then when you look at the word responsibility, it's really your ability to respond to situations. That's what it means, responsibility. Your ability to respond to situations.
So that's even when someone says nasty things online to you.
Look, let me tell you, you and I are going to get hit a lot. So I've worked with 2 million people over the last 20 years, okay? You're going to find this hard to believe, but 3% think I'm an absolute shit, okay? And they're right. Because 3% want to marry me, and they're not right either. So you've got this point that someone else's perception of you is right because it's their perception. I don't like anyone, by the way, who wears glasses and has a beard. Just thought I'd share that. So if that's my perception, unless you physically shave the next 8 seconds, take your glasses off, I'm right. So you've either got to go with it or say, you know what, I like my glasses, I like my beard, that's the situation. And there's 2 or 3% of the world who are never going to like you. There's a guy called Leo Buscaglia. He's my favorite ever motivational speaker. And he went, you can be the most delectable, luscious peach in the world, the softest, most juiciest peach in the world, and there'll be some people who don't like peaches.
Do you think agents and other people are wanting everyone to love them?
Yeah, because most estate agents have low self-esteem, and their self-esteem is boosted by someone accepting their instructions, someone accepting their listing, someone accepting their fees.
Using the disc profile, I think you use the animal. I've heard of those animals, but most you're aware of the disc profiling system.
Yeah, most of the eyes, they're high eyes.
Oh, soft scale. Yeah,
okay.
So lovely to speak to someone that knows the disc profile.
Okay, so I'm a monkey, which is the eyes.
Yes.
The lions are the D's. Okay, so the lion is the owner, the principal. Yes, we're going to get 30 listings, and the eyes, the monkeys go, yeah, no problem, and we just take on any shit that we're never going to be able to sell, and we bring in this 2-bed semi in Coulsdon in Surrey for 7 million, and we wonder why it doesn't sell. And then the hold on,
it's too cheap.
The C's, okay, who are the elephants, go, well, I could have told you because I've done research on this that no property in Coulsdon High Road has gone for more than 386,000. Well, monkeys and the eyes don't follow logic and systems. We're just so excited when someone gives us a listing. So
it's interesting that talking to Australian estate agents, they are somewhere between a D and an I, which in your language would be
in between a lion and a monkey.
Yeah.
So they're what I call cheaters.
They've got the people skills, and also they've got the tough boss bit, but in nice combination. I find it amazing how different estate agents are in the different countries. It's funny that people actually look up to estate agents in Australia and put them on a pedestal.
We teach, okay, but here we go, Chris. We teach people how to treat us. Okay, so you go to an estate agent in Australia, and I was in Australia last year working with some amazing people. They turn up on time, they share their findings, they tell you how it can be, and tell people, if you want to be part of our listing, this is our process.
What's also interesting is in Australia. So we talk. This is a message to all the guys out there who are furloughed, you know, which are employees. Sorry, is in Australia. There's a huge conference. I know we still got the last letter to go, but we said we'd go where the conversation went. But there's a huge conference which thousands of real estate agents go to, and it cost about £800 in English money. And the vast majority of them there are employees, and they've paid for their own ticket.
That's about self-responsibility and self-attitude and self-worth to gain more experience, more insight into the industry. Whereas in the UK, we'd expect our bosses to pay for it.
Yeah, it's almost like a communist society that we expect this, not the state, but the employer to do everything. It's funny. I was talking to a sales trainer, and his proviso is that if you get them in, the staff have to pay some of his wages, and when the boss turns around and says, because it's quite often it's his staff that the staff don't know this when they originally approach him. So you got to go and speak to this guy who's really good, and then the boss speaks to the guy and said, "Yeah, that's great, but your staff are going to have to pay basically like £100 each." And hardly any of the estate agency staff, even though they're going to earn more money through commission and be better trained, won't put their hands in their pockets. Why?
Well, so here's the key reason. We think we're owed a living. We think we should be, if we're in someone else's employment. So let me just tell you about employment. It's really interesting. You've gone to this. Do you think I'm self-employed or employed?
Well, all of us are self-employed, aren't we? It's just that when you work for someone, you're just working for one boss, aren't you?
Well, okay, but it's both ways. So I'm self-employed, but I get booked by a company, so I'm employed by them. And when you're employed, you're self-employed. You're just choosing to work with a single contract.
Yeah.
So we're both self-employed and employed. So right now, you're employing me to deliver, okay? So in theory, you're my boss. You can turn this off at any moment in time. So I'm self-employed and I'm choosing to work for you. If I was employed, I'm choosing to self-employ myself to you. This is where the whole market changes. So forget you're self-employed or employed. If you're self-employed, someone else pays your wages. And if you're employed, you're choosing to give yourself to somebody for a period of time. Let me do the last letter because it's key. And then maybe you're cutting on to why these 6 steps are so important. Because the last one is all about attitude. Okay? So you've got vision, you've got integrity, you've got action, you've got goals, you've got responsibility, and then you've got the big one, which is attitude. And those 6 letters should give you a clue how to keep you and your team up at all times. Now, my background is pharmaceutical, so that might be a bigger clue for those people who aren't clever enough yet, who are the S's. So who are the I's on disc or the monkeys, okay? But
should we just go through the letters because they might be a bit thick. Number 1 is V for vision.
Yes.
2 is I for integrity. Number 3 is A for action. Number 4 is G for goals. Number 5 is R for responsibility. And number 6 is A for attitude.
Yeah, now that should give you a word, okay?
Okay.
Now, it's up to them to work it out, okay?
Keep it up. Keep it up.
Very good. At all times. Okay. But here's the point.
You're not having a blue day there, are you?
Yeah.
Hey!
Very good. Boom. But our attitudes have just changed, and we've created some humor, and we've created a bit of liveliness. There are some people, though, who have an attitude that life isn't fair. Life doesn't work. The market's not great. You can change your attitude in under 1 second because it's a choice. I'm not disputing bad things happen to good people. Rabbi Harold Krishna wrote a book, Why Bad Things Happen to Good People. Stuff happens, okay? But right this second, it's 13:49. The sunshine is outside. You and I have got some bread and milk in the fridge. We got 20 quid in our pockets. Life's pretty good. Of course, we'd like another £5. We'd like another whatever. That goes back to goals and vision. But it's okay. And you can choose right now your attitude. And someone once said, attitudes are contagious. Is yours worth catching? And if you have the wrong type of attitude, you will find people, you'll understand this, Chris, you will find people who've got the same type of attitude. You are the average of the 5 people you hang around with. Hang around with people who've got a good attitude and you'll follow that system. Hang around with 5 miserable people and your attitude will follow that system. So if you're in the wrong office and there is negative energy there, you must make a decision to take responsibility, self-care, put your own oxygen mask on first and find another office possibly. Because attitudes stink. And I'm going to be a little bit rude here. If you were sitting in shit, it stinks. The longer you sit in it, the worse it gets. And that's the same thing with attitude.
There's a lot of negotiators and valuers who are employed, and they probably won't actually end up going back to work because their bosses will probably just lay them off.
May do.
The simple economics is that the number of transactions this year mean we're already at 30% below the 10-year average. What would you say to them? What should they be doing to ensure that they can find another job?
3 things they've got to do. They've got to be looking after themselves, their attitude, their bodies, their mind. They should be going on hundreds of courses. I mean, literally, Harvard University have literally got all their courses online for free. There must be real estate courses online for free. You could learn virtually a new language, the ukulele, whatever it is. You could be doing self-education. And I teach people all the time that if you want to earn more money, put an L in the front. That's a bit deep for you, that one, wasn't it? I can see your mind going.
I've just got it.
Yeah. But you see, now's the time. Everyone has always said, if I had more time, I wish I could write a book. If I had more time, I wish I could do a course. If I had more time, I'd learn how to YouTube. Well, now you've got the time. And now's the time to make yourself look the best you can feel, to do a bit of exercise. The sunshine is outside. Is to make sure that when you go for an interview, it's not that you've got a gap in your CV. It's that you go in and you show people that for a month, I'm prepared not to get paid. Because you're not going to get paid for a month anyway. So I often share with people, tell anybody I'll work for a month without getting paid. And if the results at the end of my month show I'm worth it, pay me what you think I'm worth. Now, what would be the risk there? So if I said to you, look, Chris, my market's changed. I mean, just for the record, on the 1st of April, I lost 75 speaking engagements, either postponed or cancelled. And I've had to work really hard to get my income back. And I'm nowhere near what it was, but I'm now achieving some good results. But if I said to you, look, Chris, I'd like to work with you for a month. I don't want you to pay me a penny until the 30th of the month and see how phenomenal I've been. And I'm going to prove to you why you should book me, hire me. What would you say?
I've got nothing to lose, have I?
Well, that's the point. But you see, what I really want you to say is, well, I'll give you a 50 grand salary and I'll give you your 4 grand at the end of the month. And hopefully that will be okay. I should be saying to you, I'm going to earn double that anyway, because I'm so comfortable and confident in my own ability. I want you to take a risk, give me a desk, and I will show you what I can do.
A lot of people are seriously considering the self-employed model where they work under an umbrella organisation. Yeah. They give the umbrella organisation a couple £100 a month, which gives them the right move accounts and a bit of training. Yet I'm hearing horror stories of agents. They're great at converting the free valuation, the free valuation, which is the where you're sitting on the sofa talking to granny. But they're not very good at getting the valuation in the first place because they're really rubbish at business generation. Why does that come down to responsibility and attitude, that you have to take responsibility to kill what you eat?
And more of that, you've got to be enthusiastic and know your stuff. My partner, I was 21 when I started my finance company, and my partner was 64. And he said, if you were selling dresses, you'd need to know in your store how many blue, yellow, green dresses you've got, if you've got them a size 8, 10, 12, 14. And unless you know that, you're going to be a shit negotiator. I don't know why estate agents are any different. You need to know your market. Right now, every single person who's been furloughed should be in their car, driving around, seeing what properties are selling, what properties are around, and can they do a self-valuation just by a drive-by. Then they need to go on to Rightmove, or they need to go on to Zoopla, or they need to go on to Tool and see how accurate they are. Then they would need to play a game of, if I was being instructed to do those properties, what would the mock-up look like? But instead, we're waiting for this magic pill. Don't know if we've spoken about a blue pill, but we're waiting for this magic pill to create the answers for us. We need to take responsibility for how we want to act, because this is the new norm. We're not going to go back to how it was pre the 1st of March. That's never going to happen. This is the new norm. More people are going to be working from home. More people are going to be taking self-responsibility. More people are going to have to be self-disciplined. It is never, ever going to be the way it was, ever. So it's no use saying when we get back to normal, there is no such thing as that. Just thought I'd share that with you. This is it. And if you don't like it, you got to find another job, find another career. You might as well work for Ocado and be a delivery driver, because that's the only constant.
How do people find out more information about you, Nigel, and even potentially even how you can help firms?
So if they want to go to my website, there's 2 things on my website. There's some great videos of me in action. There's a free personality test, which will do the equivalent of your DISC profile using my animal model. And if you really want to hire me to bring you into your team, and remember, I teach people to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So I'm not like these nice people you interview on your sofas. I watch you every month interview these lovely motivational speakers and how the world is lovely. I don't do lovely. I just create more sales. I create more change of attitude. If you want lovely, go to book some of the other people you've had on your couch. I don't do lovely. I'm nasty. I'm an irritational speaker, much more than a motivational speaker. So go to my website, which is nigelrisner.com. There's a personality quiz. I tell you what, if they put in the promotional thing, Christopher, they'll get a discount on any of my books. There you go. How's that for you?
Marvelous. I'd like to say thank you for your time today. Thank you for your honesty.
Pleasure.
And yeah, just thank you and good luck. And I look forward to, hopefully, if you got extra spare chicken soup, come up the A1 next Friday.
I'll be there. See you soon, my friend. Be good.